Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a replay analysis with me and Mr. Van Buren, who is a Zerg player in a Zerg versus Protoss. Van Buren, what league is this? I did not pay attention. I'm sorry. I was too distracted. Much love. Thank you for doing this, though. As soon as you say what you are, I'll get an idea. But otherwise, we'll just start it up. If you guys don't know what replay analysis are, it's basically just me helping people get better at the game. I just help them figure out what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and what to do better. Diamond 3, sloppy win, looking to figure out how to clean it up. Okay. All right. Well, so far so good. You made not so good. Just kidding. It is good. You made a drone first. For some reason I thought you made an overlord first, but you already made a drone, and then this is your second drone. We're good. Things are fine. Things are fine. Stack your close patches. Other than that, you're fine. And anyone who doesn't know what that means, close patches have more minerals on them. Far patches have less minerals on them. It's a difference of 1800 to 900. And close patches mine a little bit faster in terms of efficiency because they're closer to the hatchery. So you always want to stack your close patches with 2 first. I always say this. No one really ever does this. But there's nothing going on at this point in the game anyways. And it will genuinely help your opener of your game start faster, especially for someone who struggles against early game bullshit. And it just makes your game speed up in general always. All right, so your build's fine so far. You got your hatchery down against a probe. You're still making drones. Everything looks juicy. Your overlord is heading towards his base. You went for a gas. You're going for a gas pool. Hatch gas pool. Your build's fine. I would say this: don't fully saturate your gas immediately unless you're gonna all in him. So if I see you rip off 3 drones off the gas, I won't like it. I would prefer you to just saturate your gas one by one. There's only 2 times I would ever say it makes sense to pull off the mineral line and go on the gas first, like right away. Number 1 would be if your hatchery was not there, but instead was right there. Like if there was like a pylon there or something and the probe blocked you. Getting a faster gas would be okay because you then would have to rely on lings to defend potential adepts or some shit like that because your queens couldn't do it. But if your hatchery's down like this perfectly, adepts are not a problem because 2 queens could literally sit right fucking there and just shove the adept away, and there's nothing the adept could really do. Otherwise, it would just die if it just dove into your base and just suicided. So, if you want to play macro defensive, fill in your gas with new drones and oversaturated drones. Don't rip off the mineral line. That's definitely a big thing. It slows down how fast you take your third and all that shit. So you ripped off. So if you're not going to all in now, this is incorrect. A lot of people, like, you want to know one of the biggest, most repetitive problems of lower league players? Anyone who is not like 5,000, 6,000 MMR, it's that they always overemphasize their gas. All the time. So you're going to get, what we're going to see now is you're going to get speed super fast, and you're probably going to do nothing with it if you're not going to all in him. So, and then it just slows your own build down. And now you have like fucked up patches too, where you have 3 on this patch, you have 1 on this patch, and you have 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1. That's gonna slowly fuck your economy up by probably like, I don't know, like 30 minerals a minute overall. It's not the end of the world. It's probably like 30 minerals a minute difference because it's slightly inefficient, but that adds up over the next like 8 minutes. Your voice got lower suddenly? Oh, sorry, it's the mic kind of like tilted downwards. My bad. I gotta like really tighten this shit up again. My mic's kind of falling apart. My bad. It's a directional mic. It's a dynamic mic, so it has like directional volume. Okay. Alright, so now let's look at this really fast. We see a Protoss with a wall that looks just about as good as mine. On average on this map. And okay, my walls don't ever look this bad. This wall looks so fucked up. Alright, if you saw this, okay, this is a moment where if you really wanted to, you could totally all in this guy if you wanted to. That pylon is a weak point in the wall big time, and this is a massive doorway, so keep in mind you could do that if you really wanted to. You could you don't have to. But if you were going to do it, you should definitely leave your drones back on gas again. Like, put them right back on as soon as you saw the fucked up wall. It would be going right back on gas and going into, like, a roach horn or a bane nest or whatever. Just going for pure speedlings. I'm not the biggest fan of pure speedling all-ins. But you just letting you know, you could all-in this if you wanted to. This looks very all-inable. This looks fucked up. This wall is super messed up. Pylon is way too exposed. But yeah, we'll skip over that now because I don't even think you're going to all-in, so it doesn't matter. Looking at what you see timing-wise, I would say this. This dude right now has more potential aggression, and here's why. You don't have the ability to have lings in his base super fast. Like, because you didn't go for a 12 pool. And he scouted you, I believe, right? Yeah, he had a probe in your base. He saw this. So, there's one of two things now. This means that either this Protoss is really paranoid and he wants the gateway to be part of the wall, but if you look at where the gateway is located, it's not really part of the wall. He just might be paranoid in general. This is either one of two things. It's a paranoid Protoss, or it's a Protoss player who wants to already show you he's going to emphasis on gateway units. And what usually goes well with gateway emphasis? I would say this dude already looks like he's either going to go, like, if he's going to go for a depths, there's a good chance for it to be a Stargate. But if he's going to make anything else, it's probably going to be a Robo. Like, no one's going to fucking make multiple gateways like this. Like, it kind of gives you an, like, I would say this. Less likely to be a Stargate if it were to make sense. It's less likely for having 2 gates before the core is done, unless it was going to be fucking a depths. Because you could actually still afford a Stargate with a depths, and it pairs well with the depths because it's constantly, like, harassing drones and stuff. But there should be a gateway emphasis now, because it is not standard. It is not standard for Protoss to take multiple gateways before the core is done. It's not fucking standard. That is overemphasis on gateway production now. So expect, like, Stalker, Immortal, Sentry, something like that faster now, if he's going to do something like that, or expect Adept with Stargate. I would say those are the 2 common ways this is going to go. Otherwise, if he's not going to do either one of those, just know that his build is inefficient. Not super effective here for Protoss. It's too early to... Also, here's the last thing I'll say. Because of how he scouted you, it would only make sense if this was like a different map and he made a better wall than this. It would only make sense if this dude was going for a... if he was making a second gateway with the core, if you 12 pulled him and he wanted to get the wall set up so your speedlings or your slow lings could not just run into his base, then it would make sense. But that's clearly not what you did, so it's just early. Just keep in mind that this tells you a sign about how this guy's going to play. Probably a gateway focused build. So lots of adepts or something with Robo. Okay, you made way too many lings. Going back to your build now. I think what you are, here's what I think. I think you're paranoid about adepts. And even though you just saw 2 gates, his core is not even done yet, and you already made your lings. Like, his core is literally not even done. It, like, just finished. But you already made 8 Zerglings. I think you're super paranoid. Here's what I think you should do. If we go back... Like, you don't even need to make 4 lings. Just keep this in mind. If you scout a Protoss is not cannon rushing you, and you don't want to make lings to defend a cannon rush or whatever, if you're not trying to, like, pull drones and make lings, you don't need to make lings at all against Protoss early on in the game. You do not. It's not like Terran. You do not need to make lings early against Protoss. You can base lings off of the core, not off of the gateway. It is really easy. Like... Think about this, okay? Think about this. How often do you play against Protoss? And how often do they send a Zealot at your base if they're not also, like, doing some weird fucking cannon rush? If they're just going for, like, a defensive standard build and you don't see cannon rush around your base, how often do you see a Protoss make a Zealot and walk it across the map to your mineral line? I would say 1 in 100 Protosses would do that. Maybe that number would go up as your leagues go down. Maybe it happens a little bit more often in, like, Diamond or some shit, or, like, Platinum. But in general... me personally, I fucking see that like 0. Like, no one ever does that in Protoss versus Zerg. Because Zealots without charge, exactly what someone just said in chat, Zealots without charge are fucking garbage. They're so bad, and like 2 queens could beat a Zealot without charge. Easy. You could kite it all day. And a drone also runs faster than a zealot too, so you can just run away from it if it started attacking a drone, and it would never catch the drone. So it's really, what the point I'm trying to make here is it's super unlikely that a zealot is going to get made, which is the only thing you should be concerned about. That's the only thing you can make right now until the core is done. So if you base off your Zergling timing of when to make Zerglings off of the core, it means you can make way more drones way faster. This could be 2 more drones, and then you make 4 more lings again after this. That could be another 2 drones. So you could have made 4 extra drones really fast, which could do a lot of things like speed up your queens, future queens. It could speed up your third, all your shit, all your overlords, anything that costs minerals, more drones. So what I think you should do, this is what I think you should do. This should become your new standard, okay? Because you are a Speedling expander. It's a standard build. This is what you should do. Make 2 queens. Make your first queen at your main. Inject larva. Make your second queen at your natural. Spawn a creep tumor at your natural. Make another queen at your main base. The second your queen's done in the main, make another one to follow it up. And then what you do after that is you pull the queen that just finished in your fucking... The queen that finished in the main base, pull that queen down to the natural and walk it down. And then the second you inject your base and you make a creep tumor, pair that with making 4. Just then you make 4 Zerglings. So you make 4 Zerglings as your queens are basically finished. Or if you want to make them a little bit faster than that, I would be acceptable with, like, you see how this says 1 out of 36 seconds? If you made your lings at like 25 plus, I'd be okay with that. That's fine. 25 plus. So like we're talking 25 seconds from now is the earliest you'd want to make lings. And what would happen then is if your opponent was as efficient as he possibly could and he chrono boosted out in an adept and he shaded across the map as fast as he could, he would be getting to your base as you still have 4 lings in your base ready to defend it. You would have 2 queens in the front of your base, 2 queens in the front of your natural that would just smack the adept. And if the adept just walked past the queens, your lings could kill it with your queens. But if he shades past your queens, your lings could chase the shade into your mineral line, and he's either going to lose the adept or he would cancel it. 4 lings with that are gonna go attack an adept that has, low hit points because it just walked into 2 queens is gonna guaranteed die. Or if he shades further away and he finishes in your mineral line, even if an adept is full health and he shades in, 4 lings will still buy you time to almost kill the adept. And if he shades from really far away, his shade might finish like right there, which means your queens could come over and help anyways. It's very realistic for your queens to help, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. You're basically undervaluing your queens and you're overvaluing your Zerglings. Do not make a lot of lings until your speed's done. That's the idea. That's the idea you'd want to have. And here's the second part about it. If we look at your Overlord, this is another big tip. Look at your Overlord. So he chrono boosts the next, or the gateway, right? Check this out. Well, you also kind of fly off the map, which is fine. But okay, let me say it like this. Okay, let me just say it like this. This will make your life really easy. If the Protoss player shows up at your base with an adept right around the time when your creep tumor is almost done, or when it, like, right as your creep tumor finishes, an adept appears and your 2 queens go smack the adept and push him away. At that point, make like 6 more lings after your first 4. Because remember how I told you to make the first 4? You make that based off a timer. Make the first 4 lings based off of a timer, which is when your queens are like 25 plus seconds in production. So much later than your first 4 you initially made. That's when you make 4 lings. And that's just in case he sends 1 adept at you. If he sends 1 adept at you, and like his adept is getting to your base, the second your lings spawn, which is how that would go, if he rushed it really fast, if you see 1 adept at your base, it means he chrono boosted it and he's already there. The second you see him attacking you with 1 adept, respond to that by just start 6 more lings. Just start 6 more. Just to play it safe, in case he does 2 adepts together. Do I think it's going to happen to you a whole lot in Diamond League? Probably not. But it would probably give you a good habit to go further into like Masters and beyond. So if you see 1 adept, respond to then seeing 1 adept early on with 6 lings. If you see no adept pressure at all, if you see nothing, no adepts out of his, like you just don't see any adepts attacking you at all, just sit on 4 lings until your speed's almost done. And once your speed is at like 60 seconds in production, Like once it's like there, for instance, make an extra like 8 lings or so. Just make a few more lings then. Don't go crazy on it. Just make an extra like 8 lings, maybe 10 max, to go to like literally 14 or 16 zerglings or something like that, or like 12 lings. Somewhere around there is fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just don't make like 40 fucking zerglings. Don't make like 26 zerglings. Make like 12, 14, maybe 16. Anywhere in there. And then what that does is if the guy sits back and waits on adepts, you're not making them until you're not making lings until lings are actually useful because you have speed. And if he attacks you really fast with adepts, you're making lings as a response to adepts. Excuse me, sorry. But the point is you just don't, like, you don't want to ever do shit like this. You made 8 lings that are just sitting here doing nothing. This shit fucks you over so bad. It is really bad. It makes your economy awful. You have already less drones than you should. For no reason. It's like you basically lost drones, essentially. That's a big deal. Like you've already did an overemphasis on your gas because you ripped off the mineral line to saturate your gas. And then on top of that, you made 8 lings before you even needed them. So you have double negatives already on your economy. And do not skip injects after your first wave of larva. So yeah, you're fucking yourself over again. So with your queens, the way it should go is queens 1 and 2, you inject your main, you creep tumor your natural. That was fine. No problem there. But then as soon as that happens, you immediately start another queen in your main while you have now 2 queens of the natural sitting out here just ready to kill shit. And then one of your queen at your natural can inject the hatchery again once the energy's back up. And one of your queens at your natural can do another tumor. And then your new queen in the main that spawns can inject immediately on your hatchery. So you're not really missing injects. But now you've now committed to second tumor with only 2 queens. So now you've missed an inject. Also, another thing is your third base should have started by now. If you're going to go for a Speedling expand, ideally what you want to do, like if you're going to go for a Speedling style like this, your third base should be going down around 30 supply. No matter if you're playing against Zerg, Terran, or Protoss. Always around 30 supply is when your third base should be started. So your third is super late. And the reason why this should be started around then, your third is going. Oh, fuck, sorry, my bad. I didn't see it. Apologies. I didn't actually, you put it in the other spot. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, well, here's the point though. If you do 2 rounds, the goal is you want to have your first queen spawn, and they do 2 rounds of something, inject or creep tumor, and on the third, once it has generated its third round of whatever the fuck it's gonna do, it injects your third base. So let's say you have 2 queens in the natural, you go inject tumor, and then now it's inject tumor at the natural with the 2 queens over here. After the second wave of energy spent, which would be now, you would now, like, as soon as you spend this energy on this queen, on this hatchery, you would then tell this queen to run to your third base. So your third was actually started properly. It's fine. Your third was properly timed. Because what should happen is by the time you get your next 25 energy, after you do your second wave of spellcast at whatever you're doing, the third spellcast you do injects your third base as soon as it's done. That's the correct, that's like the build flows well if you do that. Which is why if you hit your third base right around 30 supply, you'll be able to do that. And this is a good third. So sorry I didn't see it. But yeah, the big one is you're missing a queen though. You're just missing a third queen. And another thing you should do too, here's another thing. Don't stop at 3 queens. Literally, as soon as your third queen is done, I don't give a shit if you make your 4th queen at your third base, or at your natural or your main. It does not matter. Just make as soon as a third queen is done, then start a 4th queen. So you make 2 queens at once, and then 1, and then 1. You don't go 2-2. It's too much money. You won't be able to afford that. So 2, 1, 1. All the way to 4 queens. And what that does is you'll have a couple active tumors initially with your first couple queens. You'll have 2, ideally. And then you'll be doing 3 injects. But then your 4th queen spawns and takes your tumors from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and so on and so on. So that 4th queen is the one that continues to add tumors onto it. But your first couple tumors from your first couple queens will allow your bases to not only connect, but also to give you a little bit of coverage in case you get all in from, like, it'll give you a little bit of creep around your hatcheries in case you get all in, essentially. So it'll help a lot for defending all ins. So hopefully, so far what we've said makes sense. The big things you fucked up on is you just missed a 3rd queen, which fucks over your injects. the too many lings and the gas over, like, don't emphasize the gas too hard. Otherwise, good. And now you're scouting. Go back to your vision. And now you see a council and more gates. So now, council, more gates. This can be a couple things. This can obviously be anything out of the council. It could be Blink Stalker. It could be Adept. It could be Charge Lot. Or it could be straight up Dark Templar. It could be either one. And if you see what we are also probably should expect is you're probably going to be able to expect a Robo. And here's a big sign, okay? This is a big sign. There's two ways to read what this is going to be from here on out. Number one, I love that you're doing this. This is really good. Look at the fucking door of his base. What units does he have in his doorway? And does he have a lot of it? That tells you what it's probably going to be making. Like if there's a shitload of Adepts here, you can tell it's, oh, okay, probably going to be Resonating Glaives. If there's a bunch of Stalkers here, okay, it's probably going to be Blink. Things like that tell you a lot. The fact that he's still mining gas tells you it's probably not going to be Charge Lots. You don't want to mine a fuckload of gas and go Charge Lots. It makes no sense. So it's probably not going to be Charge Lots. If we're talking like the straight up like 7-gate super fast Charge Lot all in, or something like super all in with Charge Lots. So you see gas still being mined, which already kind of rules out that build. But seeing the doorway is huge. And if you don't, here's the last thing I'll say. If you don't see a Robo in his base, if you literally see the front of his base, no Robo. If you see no Robo here, you know what you should look for? A fucking proxy pylon. And here's why. If this dude is going to go crazy amounts of gateways and a council, and he's not going to pair that with a warp prism, what that probably means is that he's got a proxied fucking pylon somewhere on the map that's going to be the warp in pylon. So a good place to check if you don't see a Robo soon is anywhere in this area. Anywhere in this area behind the rocks, he could totally put a pylon there and warp in across it. Anywhere just around your base, essentially. Just scout around your base. Jesus, sorry about the camera. Anywhere around your base. Anywhere around your base. All around your base. And the better your creep spread is, the more you'll indirectly scout as well, because creep will also reveal around your base. But that's a big tip. Those are how you can read the build from this point. Big tips. So you see 2 gates and a council, that's fine. At the doorway, what do you see? You see a sentry and a fucking Adept. Now this, and you also see a chrono boosted cyber core. This could be fucking anything. This could literally be anything. Now if you also paid attention for a second, look at this. This is a big piece of information as well. There's so many little details you can get from shit like this. But watch this, dude. Watch. Look. What I want you to specifically look at is where the green box is right now. Look right there. If you paid attention, look at your Zerglings. What do they reveal? They reveal there is no gas at your opponent's natural. So what does this mean? This means that this dude is chrono boosting the chrono boost, no gas, and the council, and now more gates. If I had to make a guess here, how I would read this is I would say this is probably going to be Resonating Glaive the Depths. And why is that? If you don't have gas at your natural, probably means there's not going to be a Robo. Sorry, I said the wrong building. There's not going to be a Dark Shrine. There's not going to be a Dark Shrine, probably, because that's fucking expensive on gas. DTs are not cheap. They cost a lot of gas. Dark Shrine costs a lot of gas. That shit is gas expensive. Probably not going to be DTs, because if it was, he would only be able to make like 2 DTs out of 4 gateways. And then it would be a lot of downtime, and he would be like, okay, waiting for gas. It doesn't make any sense. So probably not DTs. Now, if there's no Robo, I, again, go back to that proxy pylon. And that probably would be the thing. And the fact that he made a sentry, just one sentry could be literally anything. Multiple sentries would probably pair better with a Robo. But just one sentry means this guy, once again, is probably a little bit paranoid. Which is what we talked about earlier. Which is why he made a second gateway super fast that he did not need, clearly. He's made 2 units in the last, like, 2 minutes. Out of 2 gateways. That's really fucking... These gateways have been doing nothing for the longest time. But you get the point. He made a sentry because he's probably paranoid about you potentially all-inning him. Maybe this guy fucking hates the Ling Bane all-ins. And just in case you do that, he has the ability to force field you. That's about it. That's what I would take away from this. And I'd be like, okay, this guy just doesn't like getting all-in. But I would say Adepts. My guess is Adepts. Low gas, council build, multiple gateways. This looks like Adepts. But he's still mining it. That's the thing. If he was not mining it, I'd be like maybe Charge Lots. But the fact that he's still mining it but he's not mining a lot of it, it's probably Adepts. So what is a good response to Adepts? Make a Roach Warren and have Roachling. Easy peasy. And we'll come back to your build in a second, but I'm going to look at your scout a little bit longer because you're still scouting a little bit. I would also say it's a huge deal the scout is third. Just in case this guy, like, right now what you see, he definitely does not have one. There's no fucking way he can afford a third base right now with all the buildings that he has. But what I would say I would like you to do is don't sack all your lings because you're not going to break this. You are not breaking that with the only lings that you have. Instead of throwing these lings away, leave a ling, and maybe even like leave a Zergling. That way you can see if he walks out of his base and immediately take the rest of your lings and scout for that proxy pylon. That's what I would do if I were you. It looks like a proxy pylon. It looks like a depths. And let's see if he's going to make more gates or if he's going to take a third within the next like minute of this game. That's what I would tell you would be a good idea. Your Overlord positioning is great. I love it. Like you're scouting you're also scouting the main, so it's super good. Your scouting this game is really good, but your response to scouting, that I don't know. We don't know what you're going to do exactly yet. So far, it's not that bad. You're still making drones, which I really like. Just keep in mind that all the things we talked about is ideally how you'd want to go about reading the build. It makes sense if you think about it. Now, if we go back to your build, again, the one thing I don't like is your queens. You have 2 queens when you should have 4. You should now have a 4th queen on the way to make more creep. You should have every hatchery being injected, and that should help. That would help a fuckload if you had that. So your queens are a bit of a problem. But here's what I think you should do. As soon as your natural is fully saturated, resaturate your gas back to 3. And while you saturate your your third mineral line. And as soon as your third mineral line has about 8 to 10 drones on it, it's anywhere like about halfway or maybe even a little bit more than halfway. Take 2 more gases. I don't give a shit where you put them. Probably at your natural. It's fine. And then saturate those gases as well. And get ready to make roaches and lings. Also, whenever you play against Protoss, whenever it's not even based really off of what they do. It's really based off of just what your opener is. Whenever you play against Protoss and you want to go for a Speedling expand, I would highly recommend you go for a Roach Warren around 3 minutes and 30 seconds to 3 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. So I would say you should already have a Roach Warren started by at latest 12 seconds, earliest 22 seconds from now, or like by now already. Like it should be started already, and it should be like a third to like halfway done. And why is that? Because look at this guy's warp gate. It's almost done. And I know he's chrono boosting it, but still it's almost done. Look at his gateways. They're all coming online here pretty soon. If he wanted to, and he had a proxy pylon, he could totally warp in on you soon. And if you did not have a Roach Warren started around 3:30 to 3:40, the later it takes for you to make one, the more likely you're going to have no roaches to defend yourself. And if it's fucking adept mass, it's going to be scary. So 3:30, 3:40 is a good Roach Warren timing. Your Roach Warren's a little bit late. Not the worst, but a little bit late. Do not make an Evo Chamber this early. Just make the Roach Warren. You don't want to have all these crazy expenses. You want to know why I would say don't make the Evo Chamber right now? If you want to make a layer, and if you want to make a +1 weapons upgrade, or like even worse, a Carapace upgrade, that is way too much fucking gas to be able to afford it. And the only way you could is if you took gas now instead of when your third base is properly saturated. Which means if you did that, you'd have a horrible economy. So Evo Chamber way too early. It just wastes your drone, and if you actually use it, you're fucking your gas over and you'll have no roaches. And you also have no layer, so that's a big... You really want to start the layer right around the time when you're fully saturated, and you put 2 back on gas. That's around the time when you want to take a layer. Your gas is too early on your natural. I mean, you understand the concept, though, of making an Evo Chamber and a gas at the same time, but I think it's too early. I don't really like it. You're not really maximizing your economy nearly as much as you could. And then your injects are just fucked as well. Like you're quite a bit of larva behind already. And I would love it if you left a ling here to scout around. And then you actually went for another tumor instead of an inject. Just make the 4th, like literally, you're missing so many injects. I can't even begin to tell you how much it's fucking you over. So again, layer for okay. Just to recap again one more time. Layer priority. Why is layer priority? He opened council. Probably not DTs, but people do weird shit all the time. And if this guy did go DTs and he only sent 2 at you, and you have no spore and you have no layer, you would take a lot of damage regardless. So layer is important not only for the fact that you have the ability to go into a overseer because of the fact that he opened council, but also Roach speed is fucking huge, super important upgrade, regardless of what unit he goes for. If he goes stalkers, if he goes adepts, if he goes charge lots, it's probably going to be adepts. It's what it looked like. We can clearly see on the production tab it's not, but it looked like it was going to be adepts, but it does not matter if it's stalkers or adepts. Stalkers roaches with speed are 10 times more effective than roaches without speed. And here's why. If you're fighting adepts and you chase the adept and he shades away from you, that shade will always kite you, and he will, unless you split your roaches into 2 groups, you will always get kited by the adept. Because every time you actually get to the adept, a new shade will go away, and it will make you have to chase it again. And a shade is faster than a roach without speed. If you have speed, though, you could get on top of an adept, smack it, force it to leave your base. It shades, you chase the shade. You can actually keep up with the shade, and if he actually commits to it, you kill the fucking adept. And then once you get enough roaches, you could split your roaches so that some of your roaches are always killing the adept, and then if he shades and he actually commits to the shade, your other roaches that chase the shade are fast enough to keep up with it so that the second it's there at the new location, it's getting killed again by roaches. It does not get kited by the shade, essentially. That's what changes. It's huge. It's super effective. It's super good. And against blink, it makes your roaches actually able to run stalkers down so they can't just blink, focus fire, or like attack you, blink away, attack you, blink away, attack you, blink away, and actually have easily maintaining the cooldown of blink. If you have roach speed, what it does is it makes you, if the stalkers blink away, your roaches get into his face so fucking fast again that he's like, oh, I can't blink yet, and I'm having to fight roaches now. And then he loses some stalkers, then he blinks, and then you get on top of him super fast again. He loses some stalkers, and then he blinks. He doesn't just lose nothing and blink every time. And then against zealots, it makes roaches obviously kite zealots easier because they're faster, especially if they have charge. But you need roach. Again, the point is roach speed is a fucking ridiculously important upgrade to have. It's super important. It helps in so many ways. And then yeah, your gas, like I said before, is just way too early. Your third mineral line should be like more than halfway saturated as you took this. What's gonna happen to you now is you're gonna have so much gas and so little economy. And like, look what you're making roaches. You're making roaches, and why are you making roaches right now, right? You're making roaches because you're paranoid. You're making roaches because you think you're going to be all in. But if we look at the army supply of Protoss, it's 10 army supply. Now here's 2 things that would fix your problem of paranoia. Number 1, scouting around your base for a proxy pylon. And why is that? Because there was no robo. Number 2, better creep spread. You would actually have more creep spread than you do if you just made a 4th queen. For instance, look at this. You made this creep tumor really early. This creep tumor has been in the game since like minute 230 or 240, and you spread it 1 time. This one got made the second your queen spawned, and it spread 4 times. It spread 3 times, but because you made it and then it spread. This tumor is okay. This is not that bad. This tumor is actually acceptable. But then look at this tumor. You ran away from your natural to make this creep tumor, and then it's just sitting there still. And like you just made it, obviously. But you sacrificed an inject to do that. The point I'm trying to make here is you've only really actively spread 1 tumor properly so far. This one is awkward, and this one is not even spreading. You made it really early, and you have barely spread it. If you just did the thing I talked about where you have like again, I don't have to reiterate all of it again because you can just go back and watch that stage of the replay analysis. But if you just did the queens properly, you would have way better creep than you do already by a bit. I wouldn't say way better. It would just be a little bit better. But it would be already you would already have a 4th queen as well, adding to it every time. And there is no 4th queen, so you like the fact that you have only 3 active tumors by 5 minutes. You could have 4, possibly 5 active tumors right now. which would mean you have creep going this way, you'd have creep going this way, you'd have creep going this way, you'd have creep connecting every base. You might have creep going this way and this way, or this way and this way, whatever. You would just have more creep because you'd have more active tumors. So that would be like, that indirectly scouts your base to know you're safe versus really close bullshit that could hit you. Your roaches are way too fast. Way too fucking fast. Because you got to think about this as well. Think about this as well. If this Protoss attacked you, the second these gateways were done, you saw his council under construction when you were in his base. And you responded to it by making roaches. 7 roaches. If this dude attacks you with non-upgraded gateway units, your speedlings could kill that if you just started making them, and your roaches could kill that if you started making them right then. Easily. But if it gets to a point where the Protoss has a built-up army of like Glaive Adepts or Blink Stalkers or whatever, you would need units then, for sure. But this is where scouting comes in. Again, you're playing blind right now. And I would say this. Getting a saturated mineral line, like halfway to a little bit more than halfway, 10 to 12, 10, 8, 10, 12, whatever, anywhere around there. Take your gases then, saturate your gases then, and then what are you going to do then? A judgment call then to go, should I start making roaches now, or do I not need to do that? And I would say, yeah, you should start making them then. And why is that? You'd want to scout for a third base with your lings, like I talked about. You'd want to scout how many production buildings he has if you could possibly figure that out, and you did already. You know, he's got 4 at the very least. But if you started making units around 5 minutes, you would not die at 5 minutes because this timing is too fast for like you're thinking it happens faster than 5 minutes when it does not. If a Protoss player does not take a third base by 5 minutes, they are probably going to attack you, and every single bit of time that goes by beyond that, like every 10 seconds that goes by beyond that where they do not attack you at 5 minutes, now 5:10, now 5:20, if we get to 5:20 and beyond, Protoss is really only doing one of two things. They're probably going to either all in you, or they're going to tech against you super hard with something like Colossus or some shit. Like they're going to go for a 2-base Colossus timing like a full minute later. Or 2 minutes later. But obviously we know he went Council first, so it makes sense that he would probably want to attack you because the Colossus or a Council does not scale well. It doesn't have tech for later. Like DTs are easily shut down by fucking detection and roaches. They don't like have a lot of punch to them if they're spotted. So again, the point I'm trying to make here is, I hope this makes sense. The point I'm trying to make here is you could have all the information in the world that you need if you just looked at his fucking third base, and then you go, oh, no third? We're at 5 minutes, and I at least know he's got 4 gates and a council. Okay, now I'll start making roaches off of the back of like 55 drones, or like 53 drones, not fucking 40. The fact that you have less probes or less drones than he has probes is scary for you. That's not good. That's every Zerg's nightmare. That's like, oh shit, I'm already behind and I'm the one on 3 bases. That's not good. The last thing I'll say about how fast you made roaches, it would have only made sense. The speed at which you made roaches would have only made sense if 2 things happened. Number 1, he made a council really fast, and by the time you saw into his base, the council was already done, and maybe even being chrono boosted. That's number 1. When you scouted his base, the council wasn't even finished yet. That council was super late. And do you want to know why it was super late? He made an adept and a sentry and warp gate before he made the council. He made all these fucking things out of this doorway before he made the council. If he rushed the council as a priority and then did shit over here, that's different. So that's one of 2 signs would be if he rushed the council and he was rushing the upgrade out of the council super fast. Would deem correct early roaches. The second thing would be if he was not mining gas. If he rushed an early council and mined just enough gas for charge and then stopped, I'd be like, yeah, dude, get fucking roaches now. Like, you're going to probably die to a charge lot all in. So get roaches early. That would make sense. Otherwise, everything you saw, he's still mining gas. He didn't prioritize the council first. He prioritized gateway units. It does not make sense to rush your roaches like this because, again, what are we going to see? Your roaches just spawned, and he's probably not going to attack you for a while. For, like, at least, like, 40 seconds. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm making what I'm saying clear. It's, you have to just understand like how much time it takes something to happen. And now I'm glad you have a Zergling here. I would love it if you had one over here. And you're just cranking okay, so look at this. You just cranked out a fuckload of roaches and lings, and you're going back to droning now. You want to get to like that 5-minute mark of drones and then start making units, because if you do that, he will attack you shortly after you have started to make units, like we're talking within that minute, which means you'll have one clear full inject wave of units, and you'll probably spot an all-in coming at you. And why is that? There should be no third right now. No third, no third. If you were at if you were starting to make units at 5 minutes and you saw no third, you should be expecting, okay, this dude is going to do an attack. They're definitely going to attack me. So you can keep making units then. Then you keep making units, and you'll be making units off of like 54 or 53 drones like we talked about. But god damn it. Thank you. Right there. I'll just put it a little bit further in my face. But yeah, like you're just not scouting enough is the problem for you right now. And now you can see he's attacking you with a couple of random zealots. And now you see, oh, he's got warping in a bunch of zealots and stalkers. So now how do you respond to this? If you did the, properly how we talked about how the setup was, and you were at that 5-minute phase where you're making units and you're like, oh, no third? Okay, let's keep making units now. You would already be in the phase of making units the whole time, and you wouldn't have just made a round of 6 drones when it was not the time to make 6 drones, because you would have already had it for a long time before that. And if you had more queens with more injects, you would have been able to have afforded that. So you would have more than 85 supply right now, because you've missed probably 5 injects already this game, honestly, for the lack of queen and the lack of injecting for the existing queens you had early on as well. You missed probably 5, maybe even more. If we went back and added it up, we could figure it out. But yeah, you've definitely got lower supply than you should. Now, secondly, if you spot Protoss is attacking you like this, you have zero fucking reason to attack it right away. There's zero reason. Like, what incentive do you have to rush into him and attack him right now? There is zero. What you should do is you should wait until he walks on top of creep, so you get a better engagement to get better surrounds. You can kite better. For instance, if he's going zealots and stalkers, you know what you could do? What's your army? You have 9 roaches and 11 lings. This is mostly a roach army. Even though you have more lings than roaches, roaches are worth double the supply of lings. And for this to be the same thing, you would need to have 18 zerglings in terms of just supply. Okay? Now, with that being said, since your army is roach focused and his army is zealot stalker focused, you know how you should micro this? You should engage. Like if you were to micro this perfectly, you should engage with your roaches first on creep and kite zealots backwards and kill them. As you are kiting zealots, you run zerglings around and go behind, not directly in front of, but you go behind stalkers and hit them from the back. That would be perfect fucking micro. So the fact that you're charging into zealot stalker with zergling and roach is not even there yet because it's slow is totally fucking you over, because all you're going to do is you're going to lose all your lings and you won't even kill a single gateway unit. Not even a single stalker or zealot will die. But like before your lings die and by the time the roaches actually arrive. Like you're just basically throwing away supply. Okay, you pull back. So obviously you were surprised by your hatchery getting killed, and now suddenly here he is. Now if you just straight up A-move him with your whole army in one ball.
Hey ViBE Sensei. Sorry to bother you during URA. From someone who gets headaches and migraines often. You can use one of those freezable cooling pads on her neck. It redirects the blood going to her head that's causing the headache. Keep up the great work.
Yo, thank you, Rules Resolution. Much love, man. I'll think about that. I do what you're saying, like when I'm not streaming. But thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you looking out, dude. Much love. But Van Buren, what you should do here is what's it called? Like I don't give a fuck that you're not gonna micro the links perfectly. It's not that big of a deal. Who cares? It's not the focus of your army anyways, and you are making more roaches as well. I agree with the fact that you're making more roaches. I think you should. Because he's got a fuckload of zealots. If it was pure stalker, I'd be like, you should definitely add some lings in here. But since it's a lot of zealots, or if it was a depth focus, you should definitely make roaches for now. You should kite the zealots, essentially. If your lings die, they fucking die. But kite the zealots. That's what you should be doing right now. And still building more roaches at the same time. And don't forget like to inject. So inject, inject, inject. Kite roaches, kite roaches, kite roaches, kite roaches while making roaches. That's ideally what you'd want to do. If you just stand here and fight, or if you focus fire, this is bad. You're focus firing the sentry. Killing the sentry is... But you backed off right away after. Okay, that's... I'm not going to say that that's the worst. All your lings died to kill the sentry. And your roaches took a little bit of damage. That's fine. I hope you do not focus fire stalkers, though. From here. You should be kiting the zealots. So far, you're doing it. This is good. Kite the zealots. Good. You don't have to focus fire if you are. If you are, it's a bit too much. Like, it's fancy. I would say if you could focus fire, and then great. But, like, without sacrificing other things. But the fact that you're not injecting... If you're focus firing and not injecting, just know that injecting is more important. You should just literally A move, back up, A move, back up, A move, back up. Click wherever the fuck you can do it fast. You do not have to be precise about it. Just click in the area and then back up. And make sure you do things like you A move, back up, and as you back up, inject, inject, inject. A move, back up, A move, back up. Injecting is your priority right now. Like, don't stop macroing. And then as soon as you kill all the zealots, stutter step into his stalkers. Once the zealots are dead, you stutter step into him. So you attack, move forward, and you don't ever stop. And the reason why you don't ever stop is because he's going to blink away from you. He's going to do that, so don't just stand there and concave him because he's just going to blink away. If you constantly move into him as he is trying to blink away, you'll always be on top of him. And I would say you'd want to do this. I would say be aggressive about it right now. And why is that? Because he's warping in stalkers. And look, remember? Proxy pylon. There's no robo. It makes sense, right? There was proxy pylons because there was no robo. So if he doesn't put a fucking gateway next to these pylons, kill the stalkers because these things take forever to warp in and they don't have armor or the ability to blink. They die faster than these. And they're not full health either. You can, and they will die. If they die while they're warping in, that actually counts as like a real stalker dying. The only time it doesn't count when a stalker dies or a warp in dies is if you kill the pylon. If you kill the pylon, the stalkers would all look like they die, but the cooldown would just reset and he would get all his money back because it cancels them. But if you physically kill the fucking stalker itself, he loses the actual stalker. So attack the stalkers in this situation because they're right in your face and they can't move and they're still stuck here for like 5 seconds. So what I would do if I were you is I would have moved in and I would have focus fired the stalker, focus fired the stalker, focus fired the stalker, and if this one was like about to finish, I would have just backed up. And you could have done it in 3 auto attack volleys, guaranteed. Because these things weren't, again, they weren't full health and they have no armor. These stalkers have armor, even though it says 0. They have passive 1. So these die faster. The ones that are warping in, they have no armor. I thought killing the pylon killed the units. It does not. It just cancels them. But killing the units when they're warping in does actually kill the units. And now, since he's going for, obviously, we can clearly see this is now going to be a Blink Stalker all in. If that's what it's going to be, you really need to not fuck your injects up. And you need to go back to making a lot of lings. Like you're doing it now. Do like a Ling Roach hybrid. That's totally fine. And as long as you can out macro him, you will crush this. So see how you're concaving? Do not concave. You're already fucking it up. Here's the best way you could do this. If you have mostly roaches, or if you have like half roach ling, basically if you don't have a ling emphasis, okay? If you only had like 5 roaches, I'd be like, who fucking cares? Let them concave. It's fine. But if you have mostly roaches, there's 2 ways to micro it. One is you select only the roaches and you stutter step into him over and over and over. Or number 2, you have all your roaches and lings selected together, which is going to be unoptimal micro for the lings. But if you have a roach emphasis, who fucking cares? It's still roach focused mostly, and this is totally fine micro for diamond, even masters, even GM. like lower GM. It doesn't have to be perfect. The point I'm trying to make here is roaches are your focus. Still, at this point right now, it's the majority of your army, so you need to use it properly. You need to attack him, move command, attack him, move command, attack him, move command, attack him, move command. The fact that you're allowing him to, you're concaving and you're allowing him to set up a new concave behind where he's not getting attacked, so he can reset on you again and again and again, is bad. Do not let him fucking do that. Shove into his fucking face over and over. You just did it right there. You did it again. Do it again. You didn't do it right there. And this is why Roach Speed is such an important upgrade, because you could collapse on him so fast repeatedly. Now, don't chase him off creep. Do not chase him off creep. If he runs off creep, like right now, you should turn around. Turn the fuck around. And why should you turn around? Because you're on 3 bases. And this is a 2 base all in. Like, turn around and go kill the pylons if he doesn't go down there again. But if he runs this way, go kill the pylons. If he comes back at you, just wait on creep. Do not go off creep. Do not kill that pylon now. You missed your opportunity. Like, you'd only want to do it if he's not there. But if he's there, just fucking fall back and make units. And I would say, honestly, like, I would honestly almost recommend that you have a like a full roach focused. Full roach focus. That's what I would say you should really be going for here. Mostly. And here's the big reason why. Number 1 is you went for a weapon upgrade for roaches, and number 2, you don't have a macro hatch. If you're gonna do, if you're gonna go for a Ling focus, you should honestly maybe make like a macro hatch. Make a macro hatchery. I banned him, by the way. Gizmo, I banned you for an hour because you were being a fucking idiot. So I would say if you're gonna go for a Ling focus, make a macro hatch for a Ling focus, because you need the larva. It's too much larva to make Lings if you only have 3 hatcheries. Like it's rough to actually spend your money properly. So if you went roaches, you could easily spend it. So if you are going to realize, okay, it's Blink Stalker and it's Stalker Zealot, or just there are stalkers in there, always. And if you're basically, if you're gonna say I'm gonna react to this 2 base all in, especially Stalker focused 2 base all in, with Zerglings being mixed into my army, make a macro hatch the second you make that choice. The second you say to yourself, I need Lings as a part of this, make a fucking macro hatch. You will never spend your money making Lings on 3 hatcheries. Let me say it again. I don't want to confuse you. If you want to go 100% roaches, you don't need a macro hatch. No matter what he does, whether it be stalkers, zealots, adepts, does not fucking matter. Roaches can beat all of them. I would say roaches are the worst against stalker focus, but roaches can beat zealots. They're amazing against zealots. They're amazing against adepts. They're okay against stalker. Okay? That's why I don't want to lose you. They're okay against stalker. If you want to go roaches, though, you do not need a macro hatch. If you scout that he's going stalker, which is what roaches are not the best against, they can still do all right. You can still out-macro your opponent and still win. You can. But they're not the best against... Roaches are not the best against stalker when they have blink. If you want to add in Lings on top of your roaches and go Ling Roach against stalker, make a macro hatch. As soon as you make the judgment call that you need to make a lot of Lings with your roaches because your opponent's 2 base elementing you, make a macro hatch. That's what I'm saying. Okay? Like, look at your money. You'll never be able to spend it. Because you're making Lings on no macro hatch. That's why. And here's the crazy thing too. This is the even crazier thing. You even have less drones than you should have had. You should have had like 53 drones here the whole time, even before this even happened. You should have had clearly way more money than you have had, because you don't even have 53 now, and you should have had 53 by 5 minutes. Like 50 plus. Like 3 minutes ago. So you would have had way more money than you do right now. So the fact that you still have 1,300 minerals and 300 gas is, you know, that you would have more money. So you would actually have like more like 2,000 minerals right now because of no macro hatch because you're making lings. If that makes sense. But again, just fight on creep. That's all you got to do. Overpower him, fight on creep. Overpower him, fight on creep. And the second you really overpower him, you can chase him off creep and kill him. But you need to really, it needs to be like substantial, like where you're like crushing his ass. It does not, like this is not overpowering at all. This is like even Stevens fight here. Like it looks like his stalker blob is about the same size as your roach blob. This is not an advantage for Zerg, I would say. So pushing him off creep is not in your best interest. It's like, look at this. Watch this. I'll give you. We'll actually do numbers here really fast. Watch this shit. So he backs off creep. You chase. Now look at the numbers. Watch. Let's write this down. The second you commit off creep now, what happens here? 1 ling die. 2 lings die. 3, 4, 5 lings die. 5 lings have already died. That's it. 1 zealot just died. A roach, 2 roaches just died. A 3rd roach just died. 4 roaches just died. A 2nd zealot finally died. 5 roaches just died. And like 5 more roaches got fucked up in that fight as well. Like that was, you killed 2 zealots to lose 4 lings and 5 roaches. That is an awful trade. And why is that trade happening like that? It's because it's because of the fucking off creep fight. Yo, Vibe, I'm heading to bed. If someone can let Vibe know my replay analysis, Skitter D3. Yo, Nuke Noodles. Bro. I'm sorry, man. If you yo, Nuke Noodles, stick around. Don't leave. I got you. If you stick around for, I tell you what, 15 minutes. You stick around right now. But if you leave, I'll make it a VOD and I'll link it to you, or it'll be on YouTube. Sorry, man. Thank you very much for the other analysis. It's this one is a fucking this replay is a packed sausage that I'm trying to unpack here. Yeah, the fact that you're fighting off creep, man, it's too much. You're throwing the game a little bit, but little by little, every time you fight off creep like that. You should not be fighting off creep. Until you clearly have run him over. Appreciate unpacking my sausage. It's all good. This is the negative side effect of having time constraints when I'm trying to give people a good analysis. Okay, so he's going for a 3rd now. And I would say, again, this is not the time to attack him. In my opinion, this is not the time to attack him. And your army composition as well is not what I would recommend. Ravagers against mass stalkers are awful. He can just blink away from every corrosive bile you throw at him. And Ravagers are expensive as fuck. And they're not going to add... like, auto attack wise, their DPS is identical to a Roach. The only advantages is they have more range. That's it. It's just more range. But like they're squishier and they're like more likely to die. And if you attack him right now, you're putting yourself you're like maintaining. Well, I'm glad you made. Okay, hold on. When did you make lings? Like I kind of like, or you made drones. So here's another thing. You're making more drones now as you do your timing. I'm not the biggest fan of this. This is kind of what I thought you did because your drone count was higher than I thought it was going to be. But you're making drones as you do a timing, and I'm not the biggest fan of this because you're probably not going to kill him right now because you didn't run him over defensively. You did not. You should not feel like you did. The only reason why he stopped attacking you was because he took a 3rd base. Like he chose to transition. But if you throw your army away, and on top of that, you make drones, you open yourself up to another counterattack. At the very least, you open yourself up to not having map control, which allows your opponent to kill all of your creep. This is not ideal for you. What you should do is instead of attacking him, you should scout him. you should fucking scout him, and you should go, are you taking a third? Or are you just backing off to all in me again? Like, what are you, or from a different angle? And if you scouted, oh, he's got a third base, you could make so many better decisions for yourself, like using this army to safely drone to the desired amount that you want, and then make a tech swap to whatever tech you want, which is clearly going to be Hydras and maybe Lurkers, which would be totally fine. But you're creating a hole in your gameplay right now by moving out and attacking him when it's not time to attack him. And you're droning behind it. Like, I don't see you breaking him right now. I'm glad you did not throw your whole army away. I'm glad you just backed off. That's good. But, I mean, if you would have scouted him, all those lings could still be alive, and those lings could be doing things like denying a fourth base, essentially, if there was like attempts at fourth bases at some point, or whatever. Or maybe you could have like broke his natural, ran his lings into his main base. Like if you scouted his third, here's a for instance. Check this out, okay? Check this out. Think about like how to creatively attack somebody. So instead of getting crazy and being like, oh, I got to attack him, I just defended his all in, and now it's time to all in him. Instead of thinking like that, what if you scouted he had a third base, and you remembered his doorway fucking sucked ass? And what if you actually attacked his natural, or his third base with like 8 roaches? Okay? Just like 8 roaches. And then you see where his army is, and the second you see his army, you immediately run away. You just immediately run away. And what if you had all of your lings that just died, and all of your other, like a lot of your other roaches were like over here, and you broke the zealot in the doorway as you got his attention down here, and he like maybe blinked on you once and killed like, let's say 4 out of your 8 roaches die as he blinks on you, and the other 4 get away, which is very realistic. And then all these units, all your lings and other roaches up here, kill the zealot in the doorway, and you let all your lings run into his fucking main base and get into his mineral line. And then all your roaches over here run away. And then if he like, let's say all your lings, and then your roaches that run away, they go down here like this. And then you see his stalkers on top of your lings, and when his stalkers are in his main base killing your lings, which are trying to kill his nexus or his probes, all your roaches recombine and they go kill the third base because he's currently over here and you're killing this third now. Like, there's so many ways you could set up a fight if you just scout something that makes so much more sense than just attack. Like, just I have tempo in my lead because he backed off. Now let's just go full attack and whatever I see. Let's go to his natural. Oh wait, he has a third. Let's attack the third then. Scouting is so important. And the more you scout, the more you actually can set up plans of attack for yourself rather than just fucking YOLO attack, essentially. And to be honest, you don't even have to do any damage at all. If you just made desired drone count, you'd be safe anyways because your army is able to control your side of the map if you see he transitioned into a third base.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for streaming and be my drug.
Yo, thank you, Jam Dizzle. Jam Dizzle, thank you very much for that sub, dude. And now, here's another thing, too. This is another thing I would say, too. You know what I would have said as well? Like, I'm glad he just did that to you. Because here's another tip, I would say. If you get all in by Protoss, this is actually funny because this is exactly the quote that just happened on the Jeopardy show tonight for the pylon show with the Jeopardy thing we did. But if you play against a Protoss and he opens Council 2 base all in and he fails and he backs off and you make drones, it would have been a great idea to make Static D as well because you could have afforded it and you would prepare for the potential future of what just happened, which is the Protoss fucking motto of win behind Dark Shrine. That is very fucking real. That is like, it happens all the time. And if you would have actually backed off, made drones, used your existing army to cover your drones, did not waste your gas on Ravagers, and used that to tech, you could have made Static D for all your bases. You could have saturated all your bases. You could have teched into something beyond this. And you could have set up a timing into, like, let's say, Lurker Hydra, which is what you're going for. And then if your opponent would have gone, you know what, I'm going to make fucking Dark Templars now. I'm going to go attack you with DTs. And you're like, well, I have Spine Sport every base, and DTs walk at every base, and all of the DTs die. And now he invested in, not only is he behind, but he goes Dark Shrine, and then he invested in DTs that just all die because you have spine sport every base, and he's like, oh, my DTs just died, and they didn't do anything. And now he's even further behind because you have properly set up your macro development, and he just teched into DTs that failed. He's going to have such a hard time dealing with now stage 2 of the game, which is your lurker push. Like, he'll just fucking die. And when you do moves like where you just go straight up, auto attack across the map and expose your bases like you did, the game resets itself a little bit more in a way where you allow the Protoss to like claw his way back into the game. So, a huge thing for DTs is you should kind of always think Protoss is capable of going DTs no matter what. But if a Protoss player opens up with a council all in, going DTs as a follow-up is very, very realistic. It's super realistic. And here's another tip too. Huge tip. Whenever you actually defend an all-in, you know what your first thing you should do? Remember how I said you should have scouted instead of attacked him? There's 2 ways you can scout him. Number 1 is Zergling scout his expansions and maybe his composition. Number 2, scout through his fucking base with an overseer. You have an overlord still hiding up here. You could have easily turned this into an overseer, and you could have been like, what are you going to do since your all-in failed? What is your transition going to be now? Are you going to go just more stalkers all game? Probably not. Are you going to go Colossus now? Are you going to go Stargates now? Are you going to go for DTs now? Like, what are you going to do beyond your previous all-in? Most players will not just sit there going, I'm just going to make only stalkers. You know what I mean? So the perfect time to scout him is as soon as the all-in stage of the game has ended. Scout him, figure out a plan of attack or a plan of defense. And scouting him is great for both of those. It can help you go, oh, he's going mass Stargates. I don't need to make lurkers right now. He's literally transitioning into 5 Stargates with carriers. Or obviously, he can't do that because he doesn't have the money to do that. But you get the point. Like, if you let's just say you made 100% lurkers and you went over there and there's like fucking 7 Void Rays. And you're like, oh, well, all I got is 15 lurkers and like 2 Hydras. Well, that's, if you don't scout him and that fucking happens to you, well, that means your scouting needs to be improved upon. Yeah, this is fucking over so bad. This is buying the Protoss so much time to get back in the game. If you just defensively prepared for this, you would have saved yourself like 2 minutes of time of aggravation. And you know what you should be doing right now? Scouting his 4th base. You should be scouting for a 4th base. Now I'm going to look at the map. And he doesn't have one yet, but he's about to make one. And you know why you should be scouting for a 4th base? If he takes one, you fucking attack it. That's when you attack. Your army right now, if you attacked him right now at this base, right now, I guarantee you'd win the game. But what I think is going to happen is you're going to sit here defensively because you feel flustered from DTs, and you're going to allow him to set it up. That's what I think is going to happen. Which is going to allow him to get away with it and then get himself more of a foothold in the game. Okay, so you are starting to move out, which is good. It's like about 30 seconds later though, which is a little bit of a problem, but at least you're moving out. The thing is though, is you also didn't scout where you're moving out to. You just kind of moved out. So that's kind of scary because you could be going to a totally fucking awful position. You should definitely, again, look at your overseers. This one has 2 changelings. This one has 1 changeling. This one has 2 changelings. You could have 5 changelings running around the map just scouting. It doesn't always have to be a unit. It could literally just shit changelings out and go, run around to the expansions. Where is he? Not only where is he, but how many bases does he have? And now he's got a bunch of storm. So what should you do against a bunch of storm? Just make fucking lurkers. Storm would be great, or lurkers would be great against storm, especially if you go for hive tech upgrades. 2 lurkers, 1 lurker is not enough. You would want to have like 12. And again, I know you're doing this flustered though. You're like, well, ViBE, I didn't know he has Templars. Well, why didn't you know he had Templars? Because you don't scout. That's why. He didn't just make them 2 seconds ago. He's had them for a while. You just never saw them. You have plenty of options to scout. You just aren't doing it. So just scout more often, and you'll see shit like this happening, which will prevent you from doing something where you run into something and go, oh fuck, this is a bad idea. This is the second time you've done that. You did it right here a minute ago, and you just did it again just now. You're playing blind as fuck, and you're playing ViBE blind, and you don't know what's going on, and then you're getting surprised when you get there, and you're going, oh fuck, let's retreat now. And you know what this does? This buys Protoss more time, because look at this. This dude doesn't even have observers. He doesn't even have a robo. This is his first fucking robo. And because you're allowing him to buy himself more time, he's going to actually now make observers and make immortals and all these other things that'll fuck over your lurkers, maybe disruptors at some point. And now he has a chance to deal with your lurkers. So you've missed an opportunity to just straight up win the game when you had the lead before, because you threw it away through time, because you're giving him time to come back from that. So now the game is it's stabilizing for both players. Like, you had a massive lead early because he failed an all-in, and you're allowing him to get back in the game because you're setting up really poor fights, because you're not scouting anything. And you're putting zero judgment into how you set up a fight. Like, lurkers literally, like, it was a great idea, but lurkers would crush this. Lings are not the unit you want to make right now. Lings are not the unit you want to make against Storm and Archons. They're not bad against Blink Stalker, but it's not just Blink Stalker anymore. It's Archon Templar tech with Stalker. You don't want to make Lings here. Like, this is this would work in certain moments of the game, but when you just lost a fight, this is not the time to do it, because you want to know why? Here's why. All this guy has to do is keep pushing with this army, and you would die. And if he did keep pushing, and he saw that you were sending a Hail Mary of Lings across the map, you want to know what he could do? There's two things. One thing is really good, but there's two things he could do to stop this from killing him. Number one is Warp and Zealots. It's effective. It's near shield batteries. It's near cannons. He'd be fine. Number two, even better, make DTs defensively. He would wipe your Lings out in fucking seconds with like 5 DTs. Like, if you're trying to kill a cannon and 5 DTs are next to it, just swiping your fucking Lings off of it, your Lings would die so fast, it would be insane. And you have no Overseer with this. This is like a panic move. So this is not the time to make Lings. This would be the time to make, in my opinion, lurkers, and try to set up another fight as quick as you can. Like, you can honestly just make your in-game against Protoss, Lurker Hydra, Overseer, like, in general. And it's mostly fine. The only thing I would really run into a problem against is, like, Sky Toss. Which then would be, like, ideally, like, Corruptor or something for Zerg. So, like, the fact that this Protoss player has gateways that are ready to go. He has gateways ready to go. And how did he respond to this? He just ran probes away. And he has plenty of money to warp in around the units. And he has not even used a battery overcharge. You can tell this Protoss player is also panicking, because all he has to do is battery overcharge one of these batteries. Nothing will die. And then he makes Zealots or DTs. Or both. Like 4 Zealots, 4 DTs. Or 5 DTs, and that's it. Or 8 Zealots. Whatever. He has plenty of gateways to do it. It's just, yeah, he's panicking. So he's freaking out. Also, he actually only has 2 gateways that are active right now. I think he actually, what did he warp in? Let me see. When did he actually warp in when your Lings got here? I want to see this, just out of curiosity. Okay, so your Lings are arriving right now. Right now, your Lings are arriving. And he has the ability to warp in 3 units. He just warped in, like, right as you got there, he was warping in units over here. So it was him panicking because he just warped in a round of units over here. But yeah, I mean, he could still battery overcharge, and this base would be like, it would last for a while. All right. And this is not the time to attack with your army. If you do it again, you're just gonna have to run. You're literally gonna lose this army while running away from his again. This is not when you want to, like. That's fucking bold, dude. Do that shit defensively. You don't have the momentum in your favor right now. You do not. So doing this is like, hope you don't kill me right now. Like, his army's obviously here. You saw it just now with 2 lings, but you didn't know he was here until these lings died. What if he killed your lings over here and then immediately came back to this side? He could just blink on this and kill it. That's fucking scary. And even if these lurkers finished, 8 lurkers with 3 roaches and 3 ravagers and that's it, that is not an army. This is like, again, having a chance. You're having a chance here to throw away your expensive units and just die. You should just make lurkers defensively. Set up another expansion. And once you have like 12, maybe 14, 16 lurkers, push out then from your base and set up on him and attack him somehow. You're playing it so panicky right now, I feel like. Like, just keep it, just have this in mind. If he goes for Templar and Stalker, the advantage is in your favor if you go Lurker. You just need to have enough of an army. The fact that you're base showing right now, I'm not a fan. And the fact that you still also have no Hive. Just know this too. Lurkers actually suck dick unless they're Hive. If you want to go Lurker style, it is mandatory to go Hive Tech and get Hive Tech upgrades for them. Going unupgraded Lurkers is about as effective as going unupgraded Zerglings, or going unupgraded Roaches, or going unupgraded Hydras. Literally. Like, the difference of a Lurker with Hive Tech upgrades to the difference of a Lurker without them is honestly the difference of a Zergling with Adrenal Glands and Metabolic Boost to then a Zergling without that. Like a slow fucking shitling compared to like a speedy, super fast auto-attacking Ling. Like, the burrow speed, the movement speed, and the range of Lurker is enormous how much it changes that unit. And again, what you should have done, in my opinion, is before you attacked him like that, you should have scouted, saw where his army was going, and then countered hit. Like, literally defend your base. You know what? You want to... Jesus. You want to know when a good counterattack timing would have been to do? Like a Speedling timing would have been to have done? What if instead of having all those lings go over here and die, and they literally made him pull the middle line for a second, and then you killed 1 cannon, and that's it? What if you scouted him coming across the map over here? You set up a Lurker Hydra defense defensively over here, so you zoned it out. And once he's committed to it, you do a Ling run by over here. That would be a good one. Counter, not just random a timing. You counter him with those. Look at that shit. You just crushed him because he's got Stalkers still and you have Mass Lurkers. Or you have a decent amount of Lurkers and he's got Mass Stalkers still as his focus. But now you just leave the Lurkers there and don't bring them. That's a bit of a mistake. I like that though. That's cute. I like that you left one Lurker there to slowly be annoying as fuck still. It's causing chaos in the game. That's not bad. Well, you're never going Hive Tech. Like, this is a big problem. That's a huge problem. And now it's trying to do another base trade again. Honestly, just imagine if you always kept scouting, and every time he attacked you, you just zoned him out defensively with your Lurker Hydra, and every time he tried to attack you, you countered him with Zerglings. Imagine if that was happening every time. You would be breaking him apart over and over and over, and your base would be perfectly fine every time. The fact that you're allowing it to base trade over and over when you're the one with Lurker Tech and he's the one with Stalker Tech, you want to know how I'm receiving or perceiving that game? you have a major advantage of tech, and you're allowing your opponent to have a chance to win because you're using your army incorrectly. It's actually what Protoss wants you to do, is base trade him. If all he has is stalkers with blink, and you have lurkers, he wants you to not fight his army. He wants you to base trade, because if you fight his army with his army, he's gonna lose. So at least this gives him a chance to win. So again, you should definitely be prioritizing killing his army rather than killing his base with your Lurker Hydra. And the way you would accomplish that is by creep spread and scouts. So you would always be in the right spot at the right time. And then when you know he's not in the right spot to defend himself, you just don't send your whole army to go attack it. Just send like 20 supply of Zerglings and watch how much damage they'll fucking do if he doesn't react to it properly. Because he's too focused on trying to find a hole in Lurker Hydra. And the fact that you're turning around now is what I'm saying. Like, yes, you should be defending your base, but you should be defending your base in the first place. You shouldn't be leaving. You shouldn't every single time, because this is the second time your strategy has been this. You attacked him. He attacked you. You guys base traded because neither of you fucking scouted anything. And then as soon as you're base trade, you kill like one base, and then you leave your lurkers aggressive, and you send nothing but your Ling Hydra back. So you're giving him way more time in the base trade than you have. And you're also foregoing the fact that you have lurkers. So if this guy actually had insane blink micro and you had sloppy micro here, if all your Lings die before your Hydras arrive, which is possible, it's just going to be Hydras versus Stalkers. And then if he actually has good blink micro and you don't have the best Hydra micro, or enough of them, what if he actually killed your Hydras as well with these Stalkers? Because you don't bring the lurkers to help you. To be fair, what should be happening is your lurkers and Hydras should be fighting the Stalker, and your Lings should be killing his base. But I know the reason why you're using lurkers to kill his base is because they're cloaked. Don't think like that. These should be the zoning controlling units, not base trading units. Leaving the one over here earlier, I'm not gonna. That was okay, but again, your lurker shouldn't have been there in the first place, anyways. But if a game ever got weird and you wanted to make the judgment call to do that, I would be like, yeah, that's kind of interesting because you could fuck over his mineral mining that way, and you might eventually kill the Nexus. But you did it again, so this seems like it's a habit of yours. Don't make this a habit. I'm glad your Lings waited for the Hydras. And you eventually did get a hive, but you still don't have upgrades. We're 20 minutes in the game and you still don't have upgrades even started. That's... You fucking need them, dude. That's so important. That's the biggest mistake you made all game. I'm dead serious. If you're going for a lurker style, you get lurker upgrades. Don't lurkers dish out more DPS to the base? No. Surprisingly, no. You want to know the difference of a lurker to a Ling? Check this out. One lurker, supply-wise, one lurker is the same supply cost of 6 Zerglings. That's one lurker. One lurker is not going to hit every building. Let's just say hypothetically, you're getting a juicy fucking shot. You're getting 3 buildings in a line, that's good. A lot of times you're going to be hitting 1 or 2, realistically. Like, you're getting 3 in a line over and over and over, okay? You know what the damage is for that? That's 36 damage times 3 every 1.5 seconds, essentially. Okay? So, what is 36 times 3? That's 108? 108 damage every... One lurker, 6 supply. One lurker is doing... Or 3 supply at 6 Zerglings. One lurker is doing 108 damage every 1.5 seconds. Pretty much. 6 Zerglings with adrenal glands. Okay? Because again, we're talking hive tech, right? That's ideally what we should have here as well. Even we'll just say without. We'll say without first, and we'll say with after. 6 Zerglings. 6 Zerglings would be doing. What's the melee upgrade you have right now? We'll actually give comparable upgrades. Okay, so we'll do. This is level 2 weapons. We'll do level 2 melee for his Lings because we'll make it fair. If we had level 2 melee Zergling, that's 7 damage per hit every 0.5 seconds for each Ling. So that each Ling is doing 14 damage a second. And each Ling now is doing 21 damage every 1.5 seconds, which is what this is based off of. What is 21 damage times 6? Because we have 6 Lings. Lings fucking do more DPS than any unit in the game at killing bases. And that's without adrenal glands. That's without adrenal glands. With adrenal glands,
Really enjoyed SC Jeopardy earlier, mate. Thanks for all the awesome content you make. Cheers. And better luck next time.
yo, Coniferous, thank you so much for the 25, man. Much love, much appreciated. That's huge. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thank you, dude, very much for the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But a Zergling does 21 damage every 1.5, and 21 times 6 Lings. 21 times 6 is 126, right? Am I wrong? Is that right? That's right, right? That's without adrenal glands. That's without adrenal glands. Now, let's say with adrenal glands. With adrenal glands, the attack speed of a Ling is 0.35. How many times does 0.35 go into 1.5? 4 times? So basically, instead of having only 3 hits in about 1.5 seconds, you get 4 hits in about 1.5 seconds. So instead of having 21 times 8, it would be 28 times 8. Or, sorry, instead of 21 times 6, it would be 28 times 6. You would get a full extra hit. The point I'm trying to make here is Lings do comparable damage to Lurkers, equal supply, if the Lurker's getting juicy cleaves. And the Lurker isn't even guaranteed to get juicy cleaves. Like, if this Lurker starts shooting that pylon, that's going to kill that pylon slow as fuck compared to Zerglings. Lings have no limit because they're single target. They will, and they're also fast as hell. They will do maximum damage regardless. Okay? So a Ling, that if we're talking 21 times 6 is 126. What is 28 times 6? I actually don't know. I'm going to fuck that up in my head. I already know I am. What is 28 times 6? It's 168. A Lurker is not going to... A Lurker does 108, by the way. Remember that? With a juicy hit, 108. It doesn't even do as... It actually doesn't even do as much damage as Lings without adrenal glands. Again, the point I'm trying to make is wouldn't... The initial question was, wouldn't Lurkers be better at killing the base than Lings are? Because they do more damage to buildings? No, because their attack speed is garbage compared to a fucking Speedling. Like, this Lurker's going to take forever to kill that Nexus. If you had to compare this Lurker, the time it would take this Lurker to kill this Nexus, hitting one fucking Nexus, that's 36 damage every... That's literally, think about this. 36 damage every 1.5 seconds, essentially. 36 damage. Okay? I fucking closed the calculator. What was the fucking number on it? Compare that to the Lurker. That's the same supply. The Lings do it every time regardless. There's no splash damage requirement for Zerglings. So it's not even close. Lings annihilate bases faster than any unit in the game. Like, you want to know the only unit in the game that's comparable to killing bases as fast as Lings are? Stimpack Marines, Dark Templars, or Immortals. Don't say Banes are ridiculous because they kill themselves. Banes kill themselves, so it doesn't count. But Stimpack Marines, Immortals, and Dark Templars are the only units in the game, and maybe Stimpack Marauders as well. Like, those units kill bases really fast too. They do. But like Stalkers kill bases pretty fucking slow. They have slow attack speed. Their damage is good versus armored, but that doesn't mean they're good at doing it. The attack speed is a big deal. So I hope that concept makes sense. Lings should definitely be the ones killing the base, not Lurkers. Lurkers are good at sieging the base when his army's there, but they shouldn't be straight up base trading the base. I hope that makes sense. Hydra's attack at 0.56. They attack slower than that. It's Hydra's actually attack fast. They actually buffed Hydra attack speed a little bit, but it's 0.59. It's actually faster than I thought it was. I thought it was like 0.71 still, or some shit like that. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. Yo, Van Buren, I hope everything we talked about makes sense. You just got, like, really, dude, I would say the biggest thing you can work on is getting better at scouting and being more controlling of the map. Because if you just scouted and you reacted to defending yourself, and you always zoned him out with Lurker Hydra, and you countered with just Zerglings, you would have crushed this dude so much harder. And if you would have just made less mistake judgment calls in the early game, you would have,
Today we learned some arithmetic.
Yo, thank you very much, Slaver Dave. I appreciate the 2-month resub, dude. Thank you, thank you. Welcome back. If you would have just scouted as well early on after you defended the all-in, like there's all the things we talked about, it all accumulated. Basically, you had the game super in your advantage early on, and it slowly trickled away repeatedly for multiple mistakes we talked about throughout the game. But I hope it makes sense. This was a super in-depth like unit composition, unit movement analysis. This was like a master's analysis, honestly. We went super in depth with it. But I hope it makes sense, Van Buren. Thank you for doing it. And much love, dude. And anyone else who watched it, hope this helps you too. Hopes it gives you some ideas about how to further your Zerg play. But much love. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Go check it out if you're curious for more, or go check out more if you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys in the next one. So until then, peace out. Good luck and adios.